Let us resume with where we had left the last day's lesson. We were doing O. Henry's after 20 years. Children, if you remember, the story started on a day or at night when it was a cold night and there was a little bit of rain. A policeman was on his patrol, and then he found that at a certain place, which was a dark hardware store, in front of that shop, there was a man who was waiting. And as the policeman approached him, he said that he was waiting for a friend of his to keep an appointment they had made 20 years ago. The friend who was waiting in front of the hardware store had gone to the west of USA to make his fortune, and he had done a good job of it, judging by the oddly set diamond in his tie. And when we had left off last day, we saw that the policeman had been told of this entire story about the appointment made 20 years back, and also about the person who had made a substantial fortune there in the west. So, as the night turned chillier and the rain, which was initially a little drizzle, it poured steadily, the policeman bid adieu. He went on with his work, and the man continued to wait in front of the hardware store. And he had told the policeman that since he did not know where his friend was at that point of time, so he would give his friend a good half an hour to turn up before he gave up on waiting. He did not have to give half an hour. It was 20 minutes later that another man appeared on the other side of the street. Since it was a chilly night, the other man was wearing a long coat, had a hat, and he was in a hurry. He quickly crossed the road and he approached the stranger who was waiting in front of the hardware store. So a tall man in a long overcoat approached the waiting man. So obviously when you meet someone, you're expecting to meet, but still you're cautious. The man is cautious and he asks that, "Hello, is that you, Bob?" And Bob is also waiting for his friend. He also, with a lot of enthusiasm, says, "Jimmy, is that you?" So once it is established that it is Bob and his friend Jimmy, the two start conversing. So what do they converse about? They are talking about old times, and they of course shake each other's hands, and they said, well, 20 years is a long time. See, we had met at Big Joe Brady's restaurant. Now it is gone. Now there's a hardware store in front of it. And so you tell me, like, if you were supposed to meet a friend of yours 20 years later, so of course you would be asking that person that, how have you been doing? I mean, how you went to the West and how did the West treat you? So previously also we had seen that our man here, whose name we have come to know as Bob, he is slightly full of himself. He is a proud and arrogant man. He has made a substantial fortune and he is not at all humble about that. There is no humility in him, and he is very proud of his achievements. So when his friend Jimmy asks him that, "How has the West treated you, old man?" So he says, "The West has given me everything I could ask for." And then he says that, "You have changed a lot, Jimmy. I never thought that you would be taller." So Jimmy, obviously, I mean, that's an uncomfortable question about one's appearance, that you have become, you were previously short and now you're tall. So Jimmy says that, yes, that was my adolescent period, and I had a growing spurt. I did grow a few inches taller. After that, Bob proceeds to ask him that, "And how have you been doing, Jimmy?" And Jimmy says that, "I have also been doing well. Obviously not as good as Bob had been doing. He's not wearing anything diamond encrusted or something like that. He says, I've been doing moderately well. I have got a job in a city department. So he was doing a government job. And then Jimmy suggested that the two of them take a walk, and since Jimmy was knew about this place around New York, he said that I know of a good place, so let's go and talk at leisure. Let's sit down at that place and let's talk at leisure. Now, as they were moving, there was a particular place where there was a drugstore or a medicine store, and there was an electric light. And when that light flashed on the face of both the men, they instinctively turned towards each other just to have a look. I mean, which is absolutely normal. If you are meeting someone after 20 years and such a good friend, then obviously you want to have a look at your friend, because it's night and you have not had a good look at that friend who was like a brother. See, Jimmy and Bob, if you remember, the man said that we were just like brothers, we were the best chums. So naturally they turned to look at each other when the option presented itself in front of the brilliantly lit drugstore where there was a bright electric light. The moment this happened, they were walking arm in arm like any good friend would. This man, Bob, who was waiting for Jimmy, he became very agitated. He actually snapped. He became angry. And he said, No, who are you? You are not my friend, Jimmy. I mean, whatever be it, I know my friend, and you are not the person I was waiting for. Who are you? Now, when I asked that you were 2 or 3 inches taller, you said you had a growth spurt. But now when I'm looking at your face, I can see your entire face is different. I mean, a person can grow taller. Yes, I can accept that. But what about your nose? You previously had a Roman kind of nose. I mean, how could the nose change from a Roman to a pug? What does that mean? Which means, the Romans are very, very acclaimed for their sharp features. So a Roman nose means a very, very sharp and well-formed nose. And now to think about the pug, the dog, the Vodafone dog. Obviously, he doesn't have a nose at all. His face is flat. So how can a person's face change so much that his beautifully formed nose now is like a flat one? How did that happen? So I cannot accept that you are my friend Jimmy Wells. Once this happened, the other man, he knew that there is no point in playing along anymore. So he said that no, and came straight to the point and said that he represented the police and that he knew that Bob was actually Silky Bob and he was a wanted criminal in Chicago, and also that he should not try to flee or run because there were other policemen around and he was already under arrest since the last 10 minutes. With this, he handed Bob a note. Bob took the note, he opened it and started reading. It was a very short and crisp message. The note read, Bob, I was at the appointed place on time, but when you struck the match to light your cigar, I saw it was the face of the man wanted in Chicago. Somehow I couldn't do it myself, so I went around and got a plainclothes man to do the job. So, the policeman who had appeared at that designated place at that designated time was actually Jimmy Wells. He had seen his friend Bob, but before he could introduce himself that I am Jimmy and Bob, I too have waited 20 long years to meet you, when the man who was too busy boasting about his feat that he had achieved in the West, he had lit a cigar. And obviously, any wanted criminal Their records are passed around all the police departments across the country, a really, really wanted man. So Jimmy Wells also knew and had the the photograph of Silky Bob, who was a wanted criminal in Chicago. So the moment Bob lights the cigar and his face becomes illuminated, that square face, that those keen eyes, Jimmy could not introduce himself as a friend because at that point of time, his sense of duty prevailed more than his feeling of friendship. He was a policeman after all, and this was a wanted criminal. He could not introduce himself as a friend and become weak. He was strong, he heard Bob out, and I'm quite certain, it pained and ached his heart, but at a certain time, he knew that duty towards one's country, duty was more important than friendship. That is Jimmy's feeling. But then again, since he was a very good friend, he could not arrest Bob himself, who was standing right there unarmed in front of him. So he says, somehow I couldn't do it myself because he was a friend after all and they were best buddies. They were like brothers. But he had to do his duty, so he got a plainclothes man to do the job. Look at the beautiful twist at the end of this short story. This is what O. Henry is all about. This is what O. Henry is famous for. I hope you enjoyed the story. I will send you some more stories of O. Henry. Please do read them, it won't take a lot of time, and I'm sure you will enjoy them. Have a good day. Bye.